Capacity. We're talking about capacity tonight. So I'm not talking about like how much stuff I can cram in the church van for a car wash and then put students in on top of it. That's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is your capacity for Jesus. Okay? Now, a lot of the times when you put capacity and church together, you think, okay, how many people can I fit in this room? Capacity. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Pastor Danny's got all this really cool knowledge stored in his brain, so he knows exactly how many people can fit in the sanctuary. Well, that's a lie. I don't. It's been told to me like 400 times, and I still don't remember. But what I can tell you is that there is no capacity that God can't change, including your heart. When I was about 11 to about, let's go further back. When I was about 7 years old to about 18, okay, I had to learn a very hard lesson. Okay, you want to know that lesson was? It's going to blow you away. It's going to blow your mind. Just prepare yourself. Not everything I did was meaningful. I know, right? That's crazy. I dyed my hair more than Justin did. I'm shocked I'm not bald. But you see, everything that I did was not meaningful. Why? Because I wasn't in church. Now, I was at church. I was at church every time the doors were open. Why? Because my mama said every time the door was open, your high knee is going to be in a chair next to me. I said, Mama, no, because you're in the choir. I'm not. I don't want to sit in the choir. I want to be back here. And Mama had this really cool thing, okay, where she would be up on stage singing with the choir, and we being like 7, 8 years old, Thomas being younger than me, we would be running around the church, and Mama would look at us, okay, and she would give us the warning look. So she'd go, and we knew, okay, we can do it again, but just not as loud. So we go and do it again. Mama, oh, amazing grace, how sweet. And these people, like, nobody's paying attention to the worship leader because you got this weird short white lady over here signing everything. And then you look back and they're not white children dancing around. It's Mexican children. So you're even more confused. Why are you doing it? Now we're at a racist church. Great, guys. No, what I'm trying to tell you is that we knew the signs when Mom was saying, hey, you're hitting my capacity before I whop you back down into yours. And the last stage of all of this, we would look up there, because we did it the third time, we would look up there and she'd be gone. And it freaked us out. We're sitting in that chair going, oh. She's right here. Wow. Okay, Mama. We would get home and it was a lot worse. She would yell at us and then ground us from our PlayStation and our Xbox 360, not one, because that was what was out before. We didn't have Nintendos. Okay, I'm sorry, that's old. So
Genesis. Atari.
So when I talk about capacity, okay, that was a good story, right? But I'm not talking about the capacity my mother had before she said enough. I'm talking about the capacity you have to follow Jesus and to do what he's asked you to do. Okay? I was at a church camp around that age, okay, in Salinas, California. Now, when they camped, okay, it wasn't like what we do here or what I've done in any of the other PCG camps that I've been to. They don't have really cool buildings or anything like that. They actually made you sleep in tents, and then you went out and you fished. You had church outside in this weird amphitheater, and it was just really awkward. And I'm about 8, 9 years old at the time, and maybe even younger than that. And the director, the camp director, comes up and says, "Does anybody have anything they want to share?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got this guitar. I think I know how to play it. I'm going to share with you." So I grabbed this little acoustic guitar, I get up in front of people, and I strum it. I strum it again. Okay, now I'm holding the guitar like this. Okay, so my hand's on the body of the guitar and holding it, strumming it. No, it's not doing what I want it to do. No, doesn't sound like the song I heard on the radio. It's not working, guys. I'm so sorry. And it was embarrassing to the counselor. To me, I'm just a kid. Like, it's going to sound good in a minute, but it's just not working. And what I learned that day was that my capacity to play the guitar wasn't there. But that was the beginning. You see, God introduced something into my life and had this small, tiny step. You want to know what hook means? You want to know for real reason what hook means into playing music? My grandmother, and some of the adults have heard the story before, my grandmother was a huge Elvis fan, okay, Elvis Presley. And she had all sorts of things everywhere. I mean, she had like little mock guitars, she had a statue, she had a miniature Graceland, she had all sorts of really weird, awkward black circular things that you put in this really big box, and you picked up a bar, you set it on top, and it sang to you. It's really awkward. And then she had all these little square discs. They had 2 holes in them. You stuck them in a machine and it played music for you. I don't know why she didn't just use iTunes to pull out her iPhone and play that, but she didn't. And so she had all these things of Elvis, so I grew up with Elvis. You don't believe me? You can jump in my van right now on our satellite radio. We've got Pulse FM. We've got the Disney Channel. We've got country music. I don't know why we have country music over here. And then we have Elvis. And when I'm in the van alone by myself, I turn that on and I listen to Elvis. Now, I don't know all his songs, but the ones I do know, I probably should know what I sing anyway. And I jammed out. Okay, but she had all these things in her room, and I would go in there and I would look around, and I was just so fascinated by this weird guy with a really tall, slick back hairdo and this guitar. And so it got to the point where when we moved to Virginia, we did all these cool things. That was kind of it on our expenses. So my parents couldn't afford guitars. They couldn't really afford guitar lessons. And so I would sit by the radio, and whatever was playing on the radio, I wanted to learn. So, don't judge me. Older people, you're going to know this song. You guys won't know this song. But I'm flipping through the radio stations, and I hit this weird station. They're playing some very awkward music. But this guy starts playing this beat. I'm like, oh, I can do that. It sounds so simple. It's like one fingers kind of thing. I can do that. And I pick the guitar, and all you hear is da 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 da. And there's a bunch of other stuff, but that's all I learned. And I remember going through that, and the more I played music on this little radio, the more I learned I could play back. And so I began to do more and more and more, until finally I got so interested that my youth pastor in my hometown of Virginia asked me one day, she says, if you jump up here, you're going to learn a lot more than you would just sitting down there. And I said, sure. They've got some recordings, okay? They used to videotape the whole spiel, the worship, everything, okay? I am not liable for what was played on that stage, okay? Sometimes it was what they wanted me to play, sometimes it disappeared. But what I learned in that season of my life would further that gift, that talent. God's going to introduce things in your life that you're going to find out that you can do. Okay? You're going to be able to sing. You're going to be able to draw. How many of you are left-handed? Okay. I just found out that Anne Marie is left-handed. Are you kidding me? You're left-handed. I'm over here like, nope, that's the wrong hand. We're going to put that right there. Nope, we're going to put the right hand. I will beat you in this. I did not beat her in that. She's still left-handed. And what the really cool part about it is that she's starting to learn how to make, she's drawing A's and circles, and before it was just weird looking worms and spirals and all these different things, but she's learning because we introduced her to something called a pen. Now I'm sorry in advance because most of her drawings have been on our Connect cards. But you see, she's got this she had an opportunity to get there. Yeah. You are going to be placed in places like this, where people are going to give you opportunities. They're going to give you opportunities to learn different things. You're like, that's a very tiny example of capacity, right? That you haven't even talked about capacity yet. You've only talked about things about you and your family. Well, that's because I couldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't taken that little step. The little step was listening to the radio and playing back Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, I won't mention the other songs that I learned from that same radio station, but it was because those small baby steps that I get to play how I play today.
Yes.
I get to look at people in the eye and say, I learned by myself. I used to tell people it's on me. Now I get to tell people, no, it's an opportunity that God gave me, and I ran with it. Now, what does this have to do about capacity? Well, when you look at 2 Samuel chapter 17 in your Bible, you get this really cool, now we're going to set some backstory first, but you get this really cool story about this really tiny guy. Now, I don't know about you, but when I read my Bible, one, I read my comic book, you guys know that. But two, I also put myself in the main character's shoes. That's really awkward, okay? When you're thinking about Saul, and Saul dies along the mountain, you're like, oh, man, that's a time. That's awesome. Okay, but in this story, David is introduced. Now, David is the youngest of all his brothers. He's really cool, really tiny, but he's really mellow, and he likes to listen to his dad, and it's really nice. And what we get in this story is that Israel right now is at war. Okay? Now, David's brothers are all fighting in this war. David's at home tending the sheep, like a good little brother. His brothers, huge, stocky, they've got spears and battle axes and swords. They're getting ready to go up against an army. When all of a sudden, this huge, over 7 foot tall monster of a man steps out, starts mocking their God, starts mocking them, and he says, you know what, you send your best warrior out to me and fight me, and the winner will take all. Nobody in that camp wanted to move. No one. David is still at home, tending the flock, and his father calls him in. He says, David, come here. I've got this care package, okay? We've got some Gushers in here. We've got some Gatorade. We've got, all the things that, all the junk food we all eat, Doritos. We've got all these things in this bag. I want you to take this bag, and I want you to take it to your brother. Okay? Your brothers need all of the things in this bag. Just go check on it. David didn't whine to his parents, why do I go? It's so hot outside. I don't want to walk. You're on the boss lady. I don't want to do this. No, David says, yes, sir. So he grabs the bag and he goes to his brothers. Now he gets to his brothers and he kind of looks around like, where's the war paint, guys? Where's the, pumping up? Where's the dancing around the fires? Where's the, I'm about to go slay me 1,000 Philistines. Like, where are we all at? And then David hears this voice over all the other voices. You send one person to fight. David goes, what's that? And so David goes up to King Saul. Okay, King Saul in his tent. And he's like, what's going on? And he says, Saul's like panicking. He's like, I don't know what we're going to do, guys. Oh my gosh, this dude is huge. His biceps are massive. He's got a full beard. Very jealous about that. And we're like so mad. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm supposed to be the king of all these people, and this guy is in my way. Yes. You see, a lot of times, we're going to talk to the adults. A lot of times, adults, we've got this capacity, we've got all this knowledge, we've got all these things in our bag in life, and we're walking through it, and we hit a tiny situation, and we get scared. That's too big for me. I can't do that. Oh, no, it's too hot outside. They got fans on the floor of their church. They don't believe in air conditioning. They're not making money in this church. They're poor. I can't do that. And your mind starts going 100 miles an hour. And you begin to allow fear to enter in. That's exactly what happened to Israel in this moment. That's exactly what the people of God are doing. They're the people of God. What? This is the same people that God delivered from bad guys, like over and over and over and over and over. You ever read the Old Testament? Over and over and over. Even some of the New Testament, over and over and over and over again. And it gets so boring. When I read my Bible, and it's like, oh, here we go, Israel. I'm going to hold again. Oh, here's God lifted you up. Where did you go, God? Here you go, Israel. Go back in the hole again. And we get this same pattern in our life where, hey, God's amazing when we're up here, but when we're going down here, man, God, why'd you do that to me? God, why do I got to face this person alone? Why do I got to go through this? Why do I feel so bad? And David walks up to King Saul. King Saul's got an incredible story up to this point. This guy is awesome. Head over heels over everybody. Like he stands head and shoulders over everybody. Head over ears. Head and shoulders over everybody. And this guy is terrified of Goliath. Now, David loves God. We learned that this morning. I was kind of scared when the pastor started talking about David. I was like, get off my scripture. Just go away. That's not yours. That's mine tonight. And you see, a lot of the times, we read the scripture and we forget David loves God. In fact, in scripture it says that when he was out tending the flock, you know what he was doing? He was worshiping God. Now, he wasn't cool. He didn't play guitar, he played harp, or whatever. I mean, they both have strings. And he worshiped God 100%. David would go out and he would save sheep. He would save them from lions and tigers. He would save them from wolves and you name it, they got it, and I want to stay away from it. And you get this really weird picture when David walks in and he comes up to King Saul and he says, well, where's your best warrior? And Saul says, no one will go out and fight him. No one's going to go do anything. And David says, you know what? I don't know about you, but I serve a God a lot bigger than him. And David says, I'll go do it. Now, okay, guys, imagine this, okay? Just come on. All right, imagine that Nick back there is 7 foot tall, really buff, and I'm going to send Anne Marie to go fight me. Okay? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with King Saul? I'm sending a kid out to fight Goliath. What adult in their right mind is going to send a kid out to fight? Oh, someone's trying to break into this church? Anne Marie, go get her right now. Take her. Anne Marie, get off your phone. Go get her.
Go sing.
She said, no, I'm going back to leave. You see, that was my first thought. Like, what in the world? But you continue to read on. And they try to put armor on him. They try to put the king's armor on him. And it's too big. He tries to pick up the sword. He's like, guys, it's not going to work. I can't swing it the way you want me to. And so we get this really awkward picture where David walks out and he has nothing. So here we go again with Goliath. Goliath is like,
send out your best warrior. I got you.
and David's like, I got you, bro. And he walks out, he goes through this little riverbank and he picks up some rocks. The Bible says he picks up a handful of rocks, puts them in this little sack, and he walks out there. And I can only imagine what Goliath is doing at this point. What are you doing out here? And a lot of times, when we hit situations, when people cause struggle, when our family members get sick, when we lose family members, when we go through a situation, a lot of the time, we feel like David. We feel like that situation's looking down at us going, what are you doing here? I'm going to take care of you today. And we allow that situation to ruin our capacity for God. So a lot of the times, kind of like Saul in Israel, we let our negative situations, I am really testing our camera guy tonight. We like to, like Saul and his armies, we forget our capacity. We forget God's capacity because we allow our capacity to be measured by negative situations and not by the God who created.
Come on now. Amen.
Let me ask you a question. How does it feel when you study really hard for a test, but then you fail that test? How does that make you feel? I heard some. It makes you feel bad. You should have studied. That's horrible. How does that make you feel? See, a lot of the times A lot of the times, see, okay, can I be honest with you? This is embarrassing for me, but I'll be honest with you. I was in the Dome classes. When I say that, I had an IEP, it was like that big. I told you I was going to bring it, I found it, I'm going to bring it to you. And I have this to this day, where it's got all of my grades, all my GPAs, and they are awful. Okay? You're looking at this, like, amazing representation of a holy man, right? This holy man is not smart. No. It's like it went from like a 0.0 GPA to like a 1.5, and I graduated with like a 2 point nothing. And it was really bad. But when I was younger, I wouldn't talk to people. When I was younger, I would sit in class and I couldn't see the screen. I can't even see it. All right, Jehovah's Witness right there. And it was really hard for me because I fell behind, and my teachers, they would come up and they would say, hey, if you just finish these 4 questions, I'll give you a 90% on this. How did I do that? I had no idea what they were doing to me. What they were doing to me, they were just scooting me along. And they would keep continuing, well, if you just turn in this one paper, you'll pass. Really? Oh. Like I can do it right now. And turn it into you right now. She goes, yes, you should do that. And they would continue to do that. They would have these special teachers come in for me and talk to me. They were testing my vision. They would test my speech. They would test everything. And you want to know what they found out? All 4 years in high school, all 4 years in middle school, and beyond. You want to know what they found out? I read, I write, and I learn slightly slower than everybody else. There was nothing wrong with me. They would ask the person next to me to read, and you want to know what they would say? They would be reading, and they'd go, and it would be done. I would read, and I would have to read it word for word for word. You want to know why? Because to me, the words on the page, they were jumbled, they were in other languages. It was like reading hieroglyphics. And the worst part about it was I let that judge my capacity. I let teachers tell me that you're not going to amount to anything. You're going to end up like your old man. Don't worry about this. Do not this. And it got to the point where not only did I let that affect my capacity, I let that affect how I live my life. See, I wasn't like David. When I was at home, I didn't worship God all the time. Yeah, I didn't read my Bible all the time. I was more worried about who I was going to go out with and where I was going to and what party was next and all these different things. In middle school, I was more worried about my next skateboard and what color my hair was going to be before I was worried about what God wanted for me.
Come on now.
And it got to the point where I was done. I said, God, you know what? I'm too stupid to do anything for you. I'm too stupid to go to school. I'm too stupid to do this. You know what, God? I'm worthless. And I would begin to tell myself that. And it got to the point where I would stand in my bathroom mirror in our tiny apartment with my parents right outside the door. I would stand and look in the mirror. I would take a razor blade and I'd say, man, you got to fix this. You're not smart enough. And I would do it in places that I could lie to my parents about and tell them, I got to fight in school. Or, I tripped and fell. I slid and cut myself on wood. I don't know. There's dumb excuses. And I put it in places where I could lie. Now, you want to know what that got me? Nothing but more pain. Finally, this amazing, short Filipino lady at church goes, hey, I want you to come to youth group. Some of us are coming back, and it'll be really cool for you to come and hang out with us. In fact, I heard you play guitar. You should come play with us. And if she hadn't opened that door for me, I would not be standing here right now. Do you want to know how many times she had to pull me aside in a day? How many times she had to pull me aside, quote scripture to me, pray over me, tell me how dumb I was acting and how I should be talking about myself more positively, how I should be elevating myself, and how all these people are haters and I need to run away from them, and I need to uplift myself and encourage myself, and the only way I can do that is by worshiping God. To this day, I'm so embarrassed. To this day, when she messages me or when she talks to me, I almost start venting right off the bat. I almost start, bleh. Here's all my problems. Here's all my negative feelings about everything. And it kind of makes me look bad. Why would someone that I don't see all the time message me and ask me how I'm doing, only to hear all the negative, nasty things that are going on in my life right now? Well, I hate where I'm at right now. It's so hot. People are just, whatever. Someone posted about me on Facebook again. I'm just going to go to Virginia, Texas, right there. I don't know. I'm so bored of this. Why? And it dawns on me, this is not who God called me to be. This is not the capacity God has put on my shoulders. You see, a lot of times, like I said, we like to measure our capacity against negative things, right? So when you lose a loved one, when you fail at something, when you don't have, and when we feel offended, that's what we measure our capacity to. Most of you have these at home. Some of you have never seen them before in your life. I feel like you didn't see much until you got to college. This is a measuring cup. And on it, you can see where it tells you, hey, this top line's it. That's the capacity that we're going to tell you. If you want to research and see how much to the very tip of this is, go ahead. But you're going to measure it. You're going to look through. If you want one cup, this is one cup on there. If you want your cups, this is the first one. But it goes up a little further, just got a little bit. Now, a lot of times, we think that when I fill this measuring cup to its max capacity, okay, it's completely full, this measuring cup is done, right? I've used it for what it's supposed to be, right? Yeah? Can we agree? Some of you are saying no. Can we agree? So, if I were to take this measuring cup, if I were to take this, ew, that's one. That is right at the line. I'm glad I took that drink. I feel like I wouldn't know it. So, we all agree that that's its max capacity, right? Yep. That's as much as it will take. Okay, a lot of times, that's how we feel we are. We'll take on all these things. We'll hear people say something and it offends us. Why did they say that? Why did they have to do that? Why do they have to act this way? I'll give you an example. Why do people have to come against me when I'm trying to do what God has asked me to do? I just don't want it, right? Why can't people just leave me alone? I want to live my life. I want to post what I want to post on Facebook. I want to listen to the music I want to listen to. I want to wear what I want to wear. Why do people have to judge me? We just begin to pour that, right? Well, guess what? We're not a measuring cup. We're a lot worse than that. And we begin to carry that around with us. We begin to carry that around with us, and we hold on to it. Okay, about a year ago, I told you that we're almost like garbage trucks. We hold on to these things, right? Well, we don't just take what we can handle. We take what other people can handle because we think we know how to fix their problems, and we can't fix our own, right? I've got more wisdom for Casey and her issues than I do my own, right? And so we think that once we hit that limit, that's it. God, I'm so done with this place. I want to move away. I want to leave. I don't want to go back to youth group. That youth pastor yells at me too much. I don't want to go to youth group because those people, all they do is judge me for who I am. I don't want to go to youth group. I don't want to go to church because all those people do is say one thing and then act like something else when they go out. Come on. Yeah. Those things don't just go through your mind, they go through my mind, they go through his mind and her mind and his mind. Everyone at one point goes through this moment. And you want to know what happens? We find out that we as humans have this limit where we cannot take any more. And we have to let it out somehow. And you want to know how I sometimes let it out? Not in the right way. Sometimes I take it out on my wife. Sometimes I take it out on my parents when they call me and they want to share what's going on in their life and they have a question and they want a biblical answer. And I just don't want to be biblical right now. Mom, I called you to vent to you and you're asking me questions. My grandmother is my venting black hole. I call her about absolutely everything. Okay? The shoes I wore here tonight, they came off the sole. She will hear about that this week. I will call her and say, Grandma, you'll never believe what happened. I'm so sick right now. These are my nice shoes. The sole came off of them. It's so dumb. I tried super gluing them. I tried rubber banding them. I tried duct taping. It's nothing's working. I'm so furious right now. And you know what she's going to say? Well, go buy yourself a new pair of shoes. She's not going to go, oh, you poor baby. She's not going to say, I don't care. She's going to tell you how it is. Now, it may be broken, and you better hear it. So it'll sound more like, go buy yourself another pair of shoes. Okay, Grandma, thank you. But a lot of times, we think that once we hit our limit, we're done. I'm done with ministry. I'm done with people. They're not my boss. I'm my own boss. God's not my boss. I'm my own boss. This is how I'm going to be. This is who I am. You're not going to tell me how to live my life because you're over here with a stick in your eye. When God says, that's not how, hold your question to the end. That's not how this is going to be. You were never meant to carry that weight. The nastiness that's inside of you, okay, the awkward thoughts that come to you, all right, when Satan comes and tries to manipulate you, that is not your weight to carry. Why? Because there was a man 2,000 years ago that said, I'm going to take that weight for you. I'm not only going to take it from you, I'm going to take a key to it, I'm going to lock it away, and I'm going to say, it can't touch you. When you walk around and someone says something bad about you, you want to know what you need to do? You need to say, Lord, we need to touch that person. Rub it off and walk away. Why? Because that makes them look dumb. Why would I walk around and say cuss words? That makes me look unintelligent. Why would I, when I'm driving down the road, this light won't turn for me. All I want to do is right there at the church. I just want to turn left. But I accidentally went right over the little sensor. So it's not going to turn green for me right now. The car behind me is just enough space where I can't back up. So now I have to wait for this thing to turn. And I get so frustrated. Now I could get out. I could, flick off the light. I could scream at it and nod it. But you know what I was going to do? That person behind me is going to go, watch that, please. Please. There's a Mexican out here yelling. It's pretty bad. It's flicking off the light. I don't know. He may be on something. And they're going to come, they're going to pick me up, they're going to put me in a straight jacket and haul me off. You want to know why doctors and teachers and counselors and all these people have a hard time dealing with depression and dealing with suicidal tendencies? You want to know why? Because that's not their weight to carry, it's God's. I've had more students come through our youth department. Okay, parents, this is a huge news alert for you. I've had more students come through our youth department and talk about these things and feel depressed and post-depressed things so much more than any other place. It amazes me. And you want to know the core problem? Parents are not at home saying, you take that to Jesus. We're going to take that to Jesus together. We're going to pray together. So you want to know what I'm going to tell all of you? And you have my word, and we do it all the time. When you post things on Facebook that's negative, when you send me messages that are negative, when you say this negative thing is going on, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say, right now, we're going to take this thing to Jesus because it's his, not mine, and not yours.
Amen.
When that person at school is being mean to you, you don't take it to your friends so you and your friend can go jump them. You don't go over there and start calling them bad names. No, you let them rant and look dumb, but you turn around and say, Jesus, I'm going to give this to you because that's yours right there, that's the keys, and you're going to go drive that for me, and I'm going to ride in the back, and I'm going to watch you take care of it. So we take this measuring cup and we say, you know what, Jesus, all those situations, all those things, I'm just going to give that to you, and look what happens. Oh my gosh, I can take more. Come on, church. You're not listening. You see, a lot of times, we lose ministers. We lose young ministers. We lose old ministers. We lose young people because the church doesn't have the capacity to take it before God and leave it there. What happened to the church that I grew up in, where people were swinging from chandeliers and falling out in the Spirit? You want to know what happened? We lost that capacity to give it to God. We think if I preach the word, if I speak in tongues, if I sing that song, God will move. When God says, no. You show up, you sit there, you listen, and I will take care of it. I am so tired, and I'm going to be real with you. Okay? I am so tired. My body aches when I come home from work. When I walked through that door, I put a smile on my face. You want to know why? Because this little tan baby come running around that corner. Daddy! Daddy! Mommy! Okay, let's go see Mommy. Mommy's got a story for me, I guess. And I walk into the bedroom and Mommy goes, you'll never guess what happened. I said, I have a feeling you're going to interpret this for me. Okay? You see, I come to church and I'm exhausted. See, okay, I'm sweating today. I'm done with people. I don't want to deal with people, God. I don't want to talk to this person. I don't want to go talk to these students. I don't want to do this. And you know what that makes me look like? Them stupid people in the back that are yelling at me and calling me names. Now remember what I told you to do with those people, right? When you're at school and they're calling you names, what do you do with them? You give it to Jesus. So guess what Danny had to learn how to do the last few weeks? Give it to Jesus. And you want to know what happened to me this week?
Come on now.
Oh boy, was I tested this week. I get to work and they say, hey, you're not working where I told you we're going to work. You're going to work over there. So you got to walk all the way across this plant to that spot. With this new guy from the first shift you've never met before. So I go to this guy. This guy is blaring the most obnoxious music in the world. I mean, every word. There was not one clean word in this music. Not one. Blaring it. Then another coworker comes in on Monday and he says, hey, you shouldn't be blaring that music. You want to know why? Because that guy right there is a pastor. So then that guy comes over to me and he says, hey, you're a pastor. I said, I'm a youth leader, yeah. And he says, oh, well, does this music offend you? And I said, well, I'm not going to say no. And he says, well, I can turn it down. I said, it's your preference. If you want to turn it down, turn it off. It don't matter to me. And he didn't do anything. So he's still playing this, and he would come up and he would antagonize me. You know what I want to do to people that antagonize me? I want to tag them back. And you see, he comes up and we're pushing this really heavy cart, and I can't get it over this bump. And he says, well, if you just call on the name of Jesus, you can do it, right? I said, let's call on my Jesus. Yes, that's exactly what you do. Come on, Jesus. And we pushed it right over that little bump. And he says, well, I guess that's all you have to do. I said, you know how right it is. So later on through the week, he would come by and he would continue to do things like that. So you know what I did? I did what any Christian would do. I got the bigger radio in the corner. I put it to Spirit FM. I cranked it even louder than his music, and I listened to that. That's exactly what Jesus would do, right? No, that's not what Jesus would do. You see, Jesus, while he was walking, he would go up to that person and he would say, listen, what you're doing right there is not okay. This is why. This is the steps we can take together to fix that. I did not do that. Why? Because I knew at that moment this is not in my capacity. How did I not know that was not in my capacity? I was upset, angry. I was going to say things that I shouldn't say. And ultimately, I was going to misrepresent God. You see, David worshiped God so much that when he walked places, you could see God walking with him. You could see the presence. There are people, titans, in this church, titans in all these churches around America. When they walk into the building, you can feel the presence of God walking before them and walking after them. Why? Because they know where their max capacity is, right? They know that, hey, I'm just going to give it to Jesus and let Jesus take care of it, and I'm not going to worry about it. Amen. So David stands before Goliath. Takes this tiny little rock and his slingshot. Goliath standing in front of him with armor on. He's got a huge staff, probably a sword bigger than a staff. And he's standing there and he says, we're going to do this. And before Goliath can take one move, the Bible says that David took his slingshot on the rock. And I can only imagine that David is standing there, or Goliath is standing there and he's antagonizing David. He's saying, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? You see, and when I read this, every time in the Bible, it's marked in my Bible every time I read it. When I read this, I think to myself, every opportunity God gives me is one swing. Every door that he opens for me is one swing. Every opportunity I get to step into this church is one swing. And one day God's going to say, I need you to release. And I'm going to let go. And something amazing is going to happen. You know what that is? God's going to move and destroy the enemy in front of you. You have one opportunity in your life to make a difference in people. One opportunity. God's not going to trust you with a slingshot like that if He can't trust you to watch the sheep. If He can't trust you to obey Dad and take the lunch to your brothers. You want to know what I thought was absolutely ridiculous? We're going to close here in a minute. You want to know what I used to think was absolutely ridiculous? Okay? When I say my mom was in church, with the door open, I mean, she was in the church cleaning. She was in the church singing. Every opportunity that she got to go to church. To this day. I just found out last week that they were having like a barbecue or something. She was there. Always at the church. And I'll never forget, I was at college, and at college I didn't go to church when I was supposed to. Sometimes I skip chapel, sometimes I sleep, sometimes I didn't want to do it. And I asked her, I said, what? Why not? Why do you do that? And she says, why would I ever skip out on an opportunity for God to use me? God can't use me if I don't let Him and I don't open the door and allow that opportunity to take place. Amen. Listen, you come to church, you come to youth group because you can't do this on your own. Anybody out there that tells you don't need church is a liar. Amen. It is a biblical fact in your Bible. You can open it up and read it. Where it says you need the person next to you. It says where you are not strong by yourself, but when you add more people to the mix, the devil ain't got no chance. It says in your Bible, you need that guy behind the pulpit. You need your church. Yes. Some of you go to a different church. That's amazing. And you still make time to come here. That's awesome. You're part of the family. I'm sorry, that's just a thing. Yes. Every opportunity it takes. You want to know the one thing I miss more about being at home? Is being able to jump in the car with my mom and my grandma. Because sometimes our cars weren't the best, sometimes we didn't have vans. There were like two really big students in the back, and sometimes I brought even more friends over in the back, and mom would like cram us in there. And we'd be riding in the car, and the conversations would just be crazy. I mean, ridiculous, talking about Walmart, then we'd switch over to Leviticus, and then we start talking about McDonald's, and then we were talking about Revelation. But the one thing that always remained the same was that on our way back, we were always trying to think, what opportunity do I have next? When do I get to go back? When do I get to go back to God's house? When do I get to go back and hang out with my new pastor? When do I get to go back and do all these things? Guys, I wish I could open these doors every day. I wish that this door right here would be unlocked so you could walk in, go downstairs. There's actually like an icebox downstairs, so I was downstairs too, but you would go downstairs and play games, and we would have resources for you, or we do have resources for you. But I wish every day I could let you in here and do that stuff, but right now we can't. But you want to know what I can't do for you? And I do for you, and this is a proven fact. You guys, my wife right here, every night. She may be in bed. Every once in a while, I get to pray with her. Because of my work schedule, we'll pray together, and we name every single one of you. And at the very end of that part of our prayer, you want to know what I tell them? I pray for Nate, I pray for Ted, I pray for our pastor, I pray for every family member in our family. And you want to know what I say? I say, Satan, you cannot have my family. Yeah. Hallelujah. You cannot step in my yard because it's not my yard you're stepping in now, it's his. And let me tell you something, my punch may not hurt you, but his will. And I'm going to promise you right now, the moment you realize you can't handle the situations at home by yourself, you can't take care of mom and dad, that's not your job. You can't step in to those situations. The one thing you can do is get on your knees and allow the God that designed you, the God that designed that situation, the God that designed your mom and dad, the God of everything, handle that situation. There's one thing I want you guys to take away from this time. Look at your neighbor and say capacity. We are in this together. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, we are in this together. Why? Because the moment you walk into these doors, whatever baggage you're carrying, you leave it out there. This is not for family warfare. This place is not for you to come in and voice your opinion. Your capacity is not to come in here and hold all the things that you heard about somebody and let them out right here in this room. Your capacity is not to judge who was or who is and who used to be. It's your capacity is to come in here, raise your hands, worship the God that created you so he can take care of you the rest of your week. Your capacity should be so small in your life, the only thing you're able to do is flip the page in your Bible and read it. Because it's not by your will you get to your week. It's not by your will that you have the nice things. Okay, your capacity is not your net worth. Amen. Your capacity is not your job. Your capacity is not your house or your car or how many votes you have or how many siblings you have. I have one. You're not judged by those things. You want to know what you're judged by? How you act when you walk in this place and how you act when you walk out. Parents, we had a talk last Saturday where we learned it's not okay to cuss here and it's not okay to cuss out there. And here's why. And I'm gonna switch that for you guys in a minute. It's unattractive when I come to youth group and I say Jesus, but I walk out and I throw the F-bomb. Church family, it's unattractive when I come to church and I sing Jesus, but I go out there and I start talking bad about the person next to me. I start telling them they shouldn't be here. I'm not going to be here if they're going to be here. I'm not going to do this if they're not going to do this. That person needs to leave before I come back. No, you need to step outside, let whatever that is go, tell Satan to stay outside, and come sit back in your chair and listen to the word God has for you today, because I promise you, it's for you. If you come in here and you complain because the pastor's talking about you during his message, but you look at his notes and your name ain't nowhere on that paper, that ain't the pastor, that's Jesus, and he's saying, get rid of it. Listen, God does not want bossy people. God does not want cranky people. God does not want ugly people. You are ugly when you act. You are ugly when you spread rumors. So we're going to kill this right now. This is how we're going to end our capacity talk. You ready for this? This is going to blow your mind. So when I walk into this room, and I have never heard Sister Patty ever say anything negative about anybody, ever. In fact, I told her the other day I will never mess with her or stand against her family because God is behind that woman and I never want to be against God. So, if I were to walk into this room and Sister Patty come up and say, oh, Brother Danny, what do you think about this? Brother Ken did this. What do you think? I'm going to look at her and say, I don't. I don't think about Ken. I don't think about this situation. Oh, well, so-and-so's coming back to the church, and I don't like that. What do you think? I don't think about that. You want to know what I'm thinking about when I come in here? I'm thinking about, all right, Jesus, what's next? What song do I get to sing to you next? What hand do I get to raise first, left or right? I'm thinking, God, what are you going to do next in my life? That's my capacity. That's where I stop. You want to know all the cool things I get to do, all the traveling, all the people I get to meet, all of the people I get to impact? You want to know where that comes from? That comes from his capacity. That's him leading every step. So this is what you're going to do tonight. We're going to take a moment and we're going to pray. Nate's going to throw on some VT worship. Nate's going to throw on some VT worship, and this is what you're going to do. I don't care how old you think you are. If you come to this place to backbite or to talk about people, then you're acting like a teenager, and therefore I'm your youth pastor tonight. You're going to come up here, and I'm going to pray with you, and we're going to get rid of whatever that is. Because it's unattractive and we don't need it. God designed you to look like him. Why? He holds you up to everything. He holds you up above all creation. He says, look what I created. It don't matter if you're buff. It don't matter if you have facial hair. It don't matter if you're short, tall, brown, white, black, red. God says, this is mine. And I love it so very much. So this is your opportunity. Your opportunity is going to come up here. And I just simply want you to start praying, God, it's not in my capacity to take care of my parents. It's not in my capacity to deal with these negative people at home. It's not in my capacity to worry about other people's situation. God, my capacity is you. To worship you, to read my Bible, to take these steps. Listen, I'll be very straightforward with you. Stand up real quick. Stand up on your feet. Let's go. I'll be straightforward with you guys. Some of these adults look at me like, why is he talking? He's talking so tiny. It's like I learned this in Sunday school. Well, guess what? They need it too.
Amen.
What you're going through right now, they've gone through, they're going through, and they will go through. Why? Because we are all children of God, and Satan hates every child of God. But here's the end of the story. Are you ready for this? God says you're beautiful. God says you are blessed. God says you are anointed. God says you are going to go out and do great things. God says, and therefore, because God says, it's going to happen. You are victorious. You are going to be positive this week. You are going to be amazing this week. Why? Because not only were you here in the presence of God, but you said tonight, in this moment, in this decision, God, I'm going to give this all to you. Listen, one of your friends this week went through something horrible. Absolutely horrible. When I heard about it, I almost cried. And what I shouldn't have probably cried. But I heard about it and I said, are you kidding me? Why did not no one tell me this? I cannot believe that they went through that. And you know, the first thing I did, I said, but it's not in my capacity to take care of them. It's God, so I'm going to give it to God. And you know what? They're here tonight. That's what God is going to do in you. You show up, God will show out. Nate's going to hit some music. I want to pray over you. And then if you want prayer, you can come to me. I know Pastor Bob will definitely pray with you. We've got other men and women in this church that would love to pray with you. Adults, please, if you want to be prayed for. I've got some students that will pray over you. I've got some students that will lead you to Jesus, and they will tell Jesus all about you, and they will take care of you. Why? Because that's who we are. So bow your heads real quick. God, I thank you so much for every student. God, I thank you for every parent. I thank you for every aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, whoever they are in this place. God, I thank you so much for them. God, you have called them to go beyond their limits. You have called them to go so much further than max capacity, God. There is no top to us when you are in us. So God, right now I pray over every situation. I pray against every demon. I pray against every negative person. I pray against everything that would come against your work inside of our students, inside of our family. God, I pray right now that you just begin to lift them up. God, bring them closer to you. God, I pray right now, God, we lift up, God, our friend Brinton right now. We lift up our friend Haley right now. God, you know their situations. God, we lift up Reagan right now. God, we pray for Kenna and Kenai. God, we pray right now that you just begin to move in their lives. You begin to elevate them and show them how amazing they are. God, you begin to push them even further in their walk with you. You have called them to be titans in your church. You have called them to be ministers and preachers and youth pastors, worship leaders, God. You have called them to do far and exceeding over anything they could ever dream of. God, I pray for our church as a whole. God, I pray you have begun the healing process months ago. God, you have begun the next phase in our healing, and that's the next step. That's to move on. And God, right now I pray you just begin to speed that up. Drive this boat a little faster. God, get us over this next wave of whatever this negativity is, God, because you are calling us to do amazing things in this city. You have called this church to be one of the biggest. You have called this church to be one of the best. And it's not because any one person in this room, God, it's because your presence is in this place. Amen. Praise God. So God, right now, as we make this decision, God, to give you whatever's going on at home, God, I pray you use every person in this room. In Jesus' name. Now I want you to keep your eyes closed because I have a question for you. You don't look around. If you're here tonight and you say, I have a situation that's not mine, but I've been carrying it and I need to let go of it, close your eyes. Then I want you to raise your hands. God sees your hands. God sees those hands. God knows He's going to take it. Maybe you're in here tonight and you say, you know what, I didn't even know who Jesus was before you started talking about that. I want Jesus in my heart. I want what everyone else has. I want those opportunities. If that's you, I want you to raise your hand. God sees your hands. So this is what we're going to do, okay? I'm going to ask you guys to come find a spot up here, and if you raise your hand, you're going to give that to Jesus tonight. You're going to ask Jesus into your heart tonight. You're going to confess and say, God, I believe in you. I trust you. I'm going to walk with you, okay? So when I say 3, our music will start, and you're going to walk up here. Don't worry about the person next to you. Don't don't look backwards. All right, if you have to, look straight forward. Put your hands next to your peripheral so you can't see it. And when I say go, you walk up here. 1, 2, 3. If you're here tonight and you're like, you know what, I'm chill with God, I'm good, then I need your help. I need you to pile up behind these students, because some of them have raised their hand and accepted God for the first time. Some of them are going through situations at home that they need your prayer, they need your back. So if you'll jump up here, please, and help me pray for them, that would be absolutely amazing.